brought within a period of 6 months from the date of commencement of the business. So one of the issues is that JV at what level? JV at the company level or at the project level? So, but when you are making an investment, you are examining the entity, foreign entity, and therefore you will have to examine whether that entity is fulfilling those conditions of development of 10 hectares. And so the JV has to be seen from the angle of for 10 million or 5 million. So you have to see at the corporate level. So there is nobody else, it is only foreign investor, he has to bring in $10 million. There is a resident player, then foreign investor can bring in $5 million. What are the instruments of capitalization? So there are issues because earlier people used to bring preference shares, redeemable preference shares, but now government says that what we mean by capital is any kind of a convertible instrument. If it is not converted now, it has to be compulsorily converted later on. Otherwise, that would not amount to capitalization. However, there could be long tenure, but it has to get converted into the equity. Now, whether is premium on shares to be counted? The answer would be yes if it is a payment coming and the money is coming as a share premium account. So minimum capital includes share premium received along with the face value of the share only when it is received by the company upon issue of the shares to the non-resident investor. Now amount paid by the transferee during post-issue transfer of shares beyond the issue price of share cannot be taken into account while calculating premium minimum capitalization requirement. If somebody is selling the share and you are paying say $10 million, then that money has not come to the company. If there is some profit happening, then that cannot be considered as a fulfillment of the requirement of $10 million. Now, what is meant by commencement of business? So when you have to bring in that money within 6 months of the commencement of the business, what do you mean by commencement of the business? It is also a matter of, there could be various reasons, but it is a matter of fact. So you may incorporate an entity or done nothing. Initially, you want to go into that sector and you just set up an entity. And you are in the process of identifying the land. And so it will all depend on the real life situation. And sometimes the entity may not take off for 2 years. Does that mean that you have to pump in $10 million in the beginning itself? I don't think so. But it will depend on the actual situation that Reserve Bank, as I said, talks or thinks in business-like manner. So whenever you approach or goes to Reserve Bank or the FIPB, they will consider from various angles. And therefore, there cannot be just one answer to every question.
Sir,
Yeah.
like can the company which has received the FDI is under an obligation to do the project in its own company, or that project can be done by the two companies? Let's say a company ABC Limited has received the FDI, minimum capitalization is completed. Now a project which is should be a minimum threshold limit should be completed. Can this project could be completed by a XYZ and ABC both, or ABC alone should be completed?
See, the company which there is a FDI,
Yes.
the minimum area condition has to be fulfilled. So
Yes.
either they should buy the land
Okay.
or they should develop 50,000 square meters of developed area.
Yes.
Now, having bought the land, it's not compulsory that they themselves develop because there are experts available. You can go to L&T or Palanji for that reason. If you find that L&T will do the job better, you can always see you are bearing all the risk of development.
Yeah.
And he is merely a contractor. Right? But if you are giving away to a builder, then he is saying that I will half project belongs to me, or you are getting certain constructed area. And there also I have said that it is possible to do that.
It is possible.
It is possible to do that because what FDI guidelines restrict is undeveloped plots you will not be allowed to sell. If anybody wants to get out at half the stage after 3 years, I am sorry I am not able to develop. Reserve Bank will not grant the permission, or they may force you to sell the land but they will not allow you to repatriate also. So profit could be in zero parity. Reserve Bank is not giving the approvals. We have seen various cases. RBI is not granting the approvals. So you have to compulsorily develop that project, right? Either yourself or through somebody else.
Thank you.
And in the genuine cases you want to get out, Reserve Bank will put a lot of conditions. You've seen a case where they said they will not allow you to make profit.
Even FIPP has rejected few applications.
So FIPP only, you have to go to FIPP and they'll reject the application. Mostly they'll reject the application.
Does an Indian company satisfy the minimum capitalization condition, but the minimum area condition is satisfied because it holds two holding subsidiaries which together hold the minimum land? Is that allowed?
So long as they're developing 50,000 square meters, so the company should be able to demonstrate that they are developing. If they are not able to establish, then
Subsidiaries, finally the control is with the parent company.
that is their business. Are you involved in development of that?
If there is a JDA, then it does not.
It is a case where you set up a step down subsidiary, right? But that itself, because then what you are doing? You are a holding company, you are not doing any development activities.
No, the holding company will actually develop and provide the services of maybe someone there, but the subsidiary company only go to the land.
I think it is better to refer to FIPP and seek specific approval. In case of doubt, you should always approach FIPP. There is no clear answer. It appears that you may be fulfilling the requirements, but better to approach FIPP. Now, at least 50% of the project should be developed within a period of 5 years from the date of obtaining statutory clearances. Now, how difficult this is when you are developing, say, 50,000 square meters in a country like India. When you say that at least 50% project must be developed, it's like a dream, you see, then because statutory approvals itself is taking such a long time. So this becomes very difficult that you develop this 50% project in 5 years. Investor is not allowed to sell undeveloped plots, as we have seen. So only restriction is on selling undeveloped plots. Undeveloped plots means where roads, water supply, street, lighting, drainage, sewerage and other conveniences as applicable under the prescribed regulations have not been made available. An investor is required to provide stipulated infrastructure and obtain completion certificate from the concerned local body, service agency, before he is allowed to dispose of these service housing plots. And there are issues here. The issues don't stop. It says what is the meaning of 50% project development? How do you measure? So again, this is an area we'll have to rely on the local authorities, and different local authorities have a different criteria of certification. Does that mean that suppose you are making a 20-story building, if you have completed 10 stories, whether it is 50% development, I do not know. It will all depend on the certification. So ultimately you have to obtain what this guideline says, that you have to do this in conjunction with the local authorities, who are the prime authorities dealing with the land. All statutory approvals. What do you mean by they should have obtained all the statutory approvals? Whether completion certificate, occupation certificate, or part occupation certificate. So these are, I'm only raising issues, don't expect answers. But these are the issues that we will face. Can part of the project be sold prior to the completion certificate? That is also one more. These are the questions we have received from the people. Is it necessary to obtain completion certificate before a service housing plot can be sold? Is it necessary to complete the entire project before sale, lease or part of the project happen? Now, selling means booking may per se may not be selling. What I am referring is you are trying to get out of that project, right? When you are developing that project, booking, there is no restriction. But so maybe that you just announce and pre-launch booking is happening. I don't see any difficulty in that kind of sale activity.
Underdeveloped plot where road street lighting, this means within the boundaries of this, or what do you mean street lighting?
No, where you are
Underdeveloped plot means street lighting, roads, so within that your boundaries of your development, or it is you should have connectivity?
See, when you are, say, you are going for a development of 10 hectare land,
Right.
and you are only subplotting. It is very common in the city. If you go to some downside areas, then they buy huge chunk of land and then they subplot it. And whatever various amenities are to be given, normally our domestic builders don't provide. But when there is a company with FDI, they will face difficulty if that investor wants to repatriate the money or wants to get out of that company. Unless all those things are in place, while he may be able to sell off those plots, there is no difficulty.
But that property per se doesn't have that road connectivity or street lighting.
When you are developing the subplotting a land,
No,
you
I'm
have to
saying
provide all the amenities.
connectivity to the land itself does not have road and this.
Then how will you develop? So you have to provide the connectivity also. I do not know about, but the local laws will provide. When you are buying a 10 hectare of land and you are developing, there is a town planning scheme. When you put up the entire scheme, if there is no connectivity, how people will access that road? And there could be a condition,
But-
street
but-
lights,
but-
roads.
Presently this is happening with local builders. Local builders do this.
Local builders, if there is no foreign investment, they are doing anything. That is a worst part. So these are all on paper only for the foreign investors. Where they want to develop pure foreigners. Again, this does not apply to NRIs and PIO.
But this development of roads and street lighting per se is not the responsibility of a developer. It lies with the local authorities.
No, normally, when a huge, I am not actually, those of you who might be dealing with the construction industry would know better. But builders are also nowadays, when they develop, they are providing some, they surrender some part of the road to the local authority. They have to develop that road. SS road has to be given.
They will give a specific area for road and access.
And they have to surrender. And
Like when it is 25 acres, they have to do an entire planning.
Correct.
When they are doing a township. Okay, otherwise the township is not allowed.
But it has happened in many states wherein that local authorities are itself doing this township and all, they are not providing that connectivity.
That's why you are saying this
for the
metro development. Now it was entirely responsibility of that contractor to see that road is reconstructed. But how they have reconstructed the road? They have just tried to fill in small patches. It's very evident in Bombay Metro project. So those kind of contracts were there. The people are running away. It's a different story. But here are the FIPP and the Reserve Bank of India are concerned. And that's why these foreign investors are not coming. That's why I say the conditions are such that they don't want to come. And government also doesn't want that majority of them should come to India. That's the reason. Now all statutory approvals, you know it better, that it's very difficult and how many approvals, that poor fellow may not be knowing that how many approvals are required. And so, completion certificate, even before service housing plots can be sold. So that itself is also a difficulty in India. How do you get those kind of certification? Is it necessary to complete the entire project before sale, lease or part of the project? Only condition is 50% development, but entire project need not be completed. Once 50% project development work is done, then there is an exit route available to that foreign investor. Now, original repatriation. Original investment cannot be repatriated before a period of 3 years from the date of completion of minimum capitalization. Earlier exit permitted only with the FIPP approval. Now, what do you mean by original investment? When investment has come in tranches, now your money has not come in one shot, then that 3-year lock-in has to be seen from the date of receipt of each tranche and not from the first investment has come say 3 years back and the second tranche is coming now. Then you have to look at lock-in from each tranche that you are receiving. Up to what stage in a project can FDI investor participate? So that I think we already dealt with, that it should be a greenfield project. Now, a question arose, what do you mean by repatriation? When a foreign investor has already invested and is selling off that project to another non-resident, then that would amount to repatriation. FIPP has said yes, that lock-in period of 3 years will apply and 50% project completion within 5 years of obtaining statutory clearance. So these two conditions would apply, and before that he will not be allowed to even sell it to another NRI, non-resident.
Even
So,
they have rejected also.
pardon?
Even they have rejected.
They have rejected. So here is a case that they will not allow you to get out only one. So once you are in, you cannot get out. The project shall conform to the norms and standards, including land use requirements and provision of community amenities and common facilities laid down in the local building control regulations, bylaws, rules and regulations. It will be the responsibility of the investor and investing company. So, investor cannot say that I did not know this company did not do all these things. So, now the onus is put on both investor as well as investing company to obtain all the approvals, including those of the buildings, layout plans, developing internal and peripheral areas and other infrastructure facilities, pay development, external development and other charges, comply with all other requirements prescribed under rules, bylaws, regulations of the state government, municipal, local body concerned. The state government, municipal, local body concerned which approve the building development plan also required to monitor. Now, this is very difficult. We have seen that Reserve Bank has delegated a lot of powers to unauthorized dealers, filing of FCTPR and those details, and it has created a chaos. Same applies to delegating these powers to local authorities. You have to actually really educate them. If they have many small authorities do not know also that what is this FEMA. So actually you have to really make efforts, educate them that this is what is required, and without that you will not be able to. But they have said that these authorities also are required to monitor, and they don't know that what they have to monitor. That is an unfortunate part. You must have seen in the INES's lecture that you are supposed to file a report to DGP, right? That is a filing requirement. When we went to DGP, they said, why you are filing these documents with us? So they were not aware that what they have to do with that kind of a document. So sometimes there are no linkages between various authorities. Coming to other issues, can a company receive FDI when it has both FDI compliant and FDI non-compliant projects? This is clearly not possible because that means you have 10 hectare of land and then small buildings you want to develop. That is not permissible. It is FDI compliant real estate project along with other FDI compliant business. So there are other business which are also FDI compliant. And you want to pursue a diversify into real estate subject to minimum capitalization norms. While you can do that, but you have to be careful because the moment you enter real estate sector, all other conditions will apply to you. So while you are happy doing other things, it could geo-paradise your other activities because all those conditionalities of blocking and whatnot will apply to you also. Is it necessary to sell premises before exit? So this aspect we have dealt with, that it's not necessary that you should sell. So long as you have completed the developmental part, you are free. Purchase of agricultural land for real estate development, this is one area. And this depends because ultimately it's an Indian entity. It's not a NRI or PI acquiring the property. Once you set up an entity which is a resident of India, even if it is owned by a foreign, 100% foreign persons. So can that company acquire agricultural land? And in Maharashtra, it is possible if it is approved under section 63(1)(a), and this is taught to me by experts in real estate that it can be purchased if you are able to obtain the approval. Otherwise, it depends upon the state policy. I am told that in Chennai, that states permits even buying of agricultural land by corporates for development. Construct and lease, is it permissible? The answer is yes. Once you have developed, you have entered into greenfield project, yes, you can do that. Can a builder offer a minimum return to the non-resident investor? And can you have a put and call option? It's a very tricky area. And last year's FDI policy, if you have seen a lot of controversies at Horizon, they put specific restrictions and suddenly they have withdrawn. Even the month had not expired. So it appears that the company per se cannot give a full put and call option, but there could be a third party investor. So suppose a builder has invited foreign direct investment into a real estate project which is FDI compliant, and that investor does not know whether he is going to make money or he is going to lose. There could be a shareholders agreement whereby a resident promoter, who is a part of that joint venture project, can give a minimum guarantee that after 3 years, suppose we are not able to complete this project, I will buy away your shares. Only difficulty which we see is the DCF valuation policy, that whereby, because you cannot pay beyond DCF valuation. So by any chance DCF valuation is lower than the guaranteed price, you will have a difficulty. In that event, they have an entity set up abroad, and there is an agreement with that overseas entity and the foreign non-resident investor, and that entity gives a guarantee to buy away those shares. And when there are NR to NR transfers, DCF valuation is not applicable. Yes, of course, fair pricing policy for the purpose of income tax it is applicable, but when price is paid is more than DCF valuation, there is no difficulty under income tax as well.
Now the DCF is also drawing, they're saying it is for market. Very recent.
But this is indirectly possible. Company cannot give any guarantee. So tax aspect, yes.
Not taxes. Even FEMA now, I think last week only.
NR to NR, DCF you are talking about?
Yes, DCF, they are saying that right now they're drawing the DCF, compulsory DCF valuation. And they are saying at September market.
NR to NR transfer.
Any-
FEMA there is no valuation. FEMA there is no, nothing is prescribed. Then NR to NR transfer is concerned.
NR to NR.
NR to NR, RBI there is no reporting on. That is one area.
R to NR also.
R to NR, DCF valuation is there.
No, now it is
Rules
withdrawn.
under consideration.
Sorry, sir.
Okay.
It is not.
Rules are
Under
under
consideration, it's still not fine.
RBI had issued monetary policy wherein it was stated that they will ignore the valuation requirements.
But it
Additional
is
guidelines are not yet issued.
Okay.
But LLP had come out with, in the LLP notification, they have mentioned about that valuation part.
Right.
there is no circular.
Now coming to investors or projects where relaxation are there, we have seen that hotel, tourism, hospitals, SEZs, industrial parks, education sectors, old age homes, there are separate policies, and therefore they will not be, if you are per se into that business, you will not be governed by those guidelines. As far as NRI and PIs are concerned, they are also relaxed, and there are 4 conditions where it will not apply. So minimum area development condition will not apply to NRI PIO. So they can, NRI can invest in a company with any size of a land. They do not have a minimum capitalization and 6 months capitalization period. So they don't have to bring in 5 million, 10 million. They can bring a small capital. There is a condition of 50% development of project within 5 years, even that is not applicable. And there is no lock-in on repatriation. So NRIs can freely invest, NRIs and PIOs. Now for the amount of time, I will skip these FDI and industrial parks. And otherwise also, there is not much for you to read those guidelines. Now as we said then this real estate sector, it is carved out fund, what is the way out? And the way out perhaps seems to be in NCDs. Now FIIs and QFI route is available to them. FIIs and QFIs are permitted to invest in listed or to be listed NCDs issued by an Indian company. The NCD investment by FIIs are treated as rupee borrowings and distinct from general external commercial borrowings, and they are not subject to ECB guidelines. And there is an aggregate debt limit of say 51 billion, and there are no individual ceilings also. There is no lock-in or residual period, no approval till aggregate debt limit reaches 90% of the total limit. Before an exit, NCD may be sold on the floor of the stock exchange, but most commonly they are redeemed. And listed NCDs can be secured by a pledge, mortgage, or property hypothecation of receivable, etc. in favor of the debenture trustee. So this is perhaps an area where financing can happen to maybe some security is offered, and but the borrower will not get to acquire that property. It is a pure financing, and this is a slide which gives some distinctive features of equity ownership vis-a-vis this. And what is important is that for ECB, certain restrictions will apply. Those restrictions will not apply to this kind of financing.
Other companies like even any LCD group has to create some charge.
Correct.
That is even non-listed LCD also required to be created.
Yes. So let's say maybe is some.
It has to be secure.
Yes. So we go to outbound investment in real estate project. The investment in foreign entities involved in real estate business is prohibited. So again, when we say real estate business means buying and selling of ready-made properties. So here you have to understand in a different context altogether. And it does not include development of townships. So here words we have used township, whatever it is, it will ultimately depend on the wordings under domestic law. So long as it is a bona fide construction development activities, it should be alright. Earlier there was a 400% of net worth that you could invest. Now you can go up to 100% of net worth, but RBI said that if you want more, you come to us. Right? Under Regulation 4 of Notification 120, you can also invest from RFC account or out of funds held outside India by persons who are not permanently resident in India. And the role of foreign exchange is permissible under Regulation 6. That the outbound investment will be focused dealt with separately. Now you can grow up to 100% of your net worth, or it includes remittances from India, ECB, capitalization of exports and guarantees. Earlier, 50% of guarantee was counted. Now it is 100% of guarantee also will be counted towards that thing. The other conditions are foreign entity to carry on bona fide business activity only. Investor is not on the RBI postal list or investigation by ED. Investor submits requests in form ODI to the authorized dealer and remit the fund only after obtaining UIN. Investor to own remittances to a designated branch of an authorized dealer. Investor to file annual performance report every year. Investor to submit annual return of foreign liabilities and assets by 31st July every year. I think with this my presentation is complete. Thank you friends for the lesson here.
To speak on a complex subject like FDI in immovable properties is like solving a complex jigsaw puzzle. I think for non-stop for 2 hours is a great